Hello again, friends. Carlos Scarpero here. Today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the steps to buying a house. Now, if you've never bought a house before, there are several steps you need to go through. And I want to make sure you understand the process clearly and easily. But I'm going to do a lot more in depth on other videos. This is a very high level overview so you understand how the process works. Be sure to check the notes because I am going to link to a YouTube playlist. We'll have a lot more info about that process and goes in depth into each step of the mortgage and home buying process in general. So the first step is you need to meet a loan officer. A lot of people want to go to the realtor first. That's more exciting, I know, to look at houses, but before you'll need a pre-approval letter anyway to even look at houses. So the first step should be to meet a loan officer and determine where you are in the process, and if you're ready to buy, they can let you know how that works. Or if you have some work left to do, they can let you know as well. And they might be scared thinking, oh my gosh, I meet a loan officer. What if they tell me no? You know what? We tell people no all the time. I always say it's not a no, it's a not today. So meet that loan officer first. Don't be shy. Ask your Facebook friends if you don't know of anybody, or ask me. I can certainly point you in the right direction. Certainly, if you're in a state where I'm licensed, I'd be more than happy to talk to you as well. But maybe the loan officer is typically a few minute phone call, and then they'll send you a link to apply online, and then pull the credit and see where you are in the process. Once you meet that loan officer, you need to set a goal. And that's something you can discuss with your loan officer, is what exactly your budget is for the house that you want to buy. And more importantly, what your budget is. So there's two different types of financial things you're going to hear about. One will be what you're approved for and what that payment looks like. But more importantly, what can you afford? They're not the same thing, because I know some people, I might say, oh yeah, you're approved for $1,200 a month, a mortgage payment. But they tell me, well, I can only really afford up to $1,000 a month, and then we can adjust that accordingly downwards. I talk to other people that they think they can afford a lot more, and then what I can approve them for and what they claim they can afford don't always match. Next, you got to also look at your credit and make sure that, well, loans, you're going to look at your credit and determine if your credit is good enough to get a loan. Now, you don't necessarily need perfect credit to get a mortgage loan, but it certainly helps if you have a decent credit profile. Certainly 600 or higher score is much better, but there are other factors as well, like the amount of money you have in the bank, debt ratios, all that type of thing, how time on the job, what type of loan you're getting, all those different things. Next thing, you need to gather and send some documents. And so some of the common things the loan officer is going to ask for are pay stubs, W-2s, bank statements. If you are doing a VA loan, they might ask for DD-214. You might have to go get the certificate of eligibility if the loan officer can't get one for you. And so those are some of the basic documents. Now, there are other things they might ask for as well, like you'll obviously need a copy of the purchase contract once you find a house, but if you've been divorced, you might divorce decree, child support agreements might need it as well. Next, go find a realtor. Don't do it on your own. Find what's called a buyer's agent. Now, a buyer's agent is a realtor that works on your behalf to buy the home. Their commissions are actually paid by the seller as part of the seller commissions. And so it costs you no extra money to have a buyer's agent rather than going directly to the house. A lot of people make the mistake of, I'm going to get a better deal if I go straight to the seller, go straight to the home, make an offer directly at the house. And think about this, the person at that house, that listing agent, they represent the seller, not you. And so you'll be basically paying for that through realtor commissions, but you won't have any voice in the transaction. You want a voice actually fighting for you in the transaction. It's very, very important to get a buyer's agent. Next, you need to make an offer. Determine how much the house is worth, how much you want to pay for it. Since you've met with the loan officer, you know what your budget is. Determine how you want to handle closing costs, all that kind of thing, and determine what that fair price is. Make that offer. Hopefully, it gets accepted. Once it gets accepted, it'll be what's called under contract. In most states, some places call it an escrow. It's the exact same thing. And then what will happen is your loan officer is going to send you, you'll make an offer, and it gets accepted, and then you will sign some disclosures. Your loan officer is going to send you a big packet Disclosures usually about 75 pages because of compliance and what a mess that is. And you'll get a big long thing. Luckily, it's all e-signed. 95+% of lenders out there will be all e-signed on your computer. Make sure to get those in a timely manner because you won't have the intent to proceed and be able to proceed with that until you get that signed. Next, you'll find your loan will get submitted to underwriting. And once it comes out of underwriting, usually about 2 days after it's submitted, you will get a request for more documentation. At that point, you'll meet with a processor. Excuse me. And the processor will say, well, we sent these documents in, but they need clarification on this. They have questions about that. And fill in those gaps in your application and figure out where to proceed with the loan. At that point, you need to get an inspection. Now, I do recommend you get a whole house inspection. It is not required. If you're getting a VA loan, most areas probably need a termite inspection. And the home will also need to get appraised, which is also part of that inspection process. And so that's the next step is you need to get the home appraised. Now, appraisal and inspection, oftentimes the phrases are used kind of interminglably used kind of together. But the appraisal is slightly different than inspection. The appraisal is a determination of the value of the home. But during that appraisal process, they're also going to inspect it to see if it meets the guidelines of the loan you're getting. Now, if it doesn't meet those guidelines, that's not a deal breaker, but it will certainly slow down the process because then the seller will have to fix those items and then they'll come back and re-inspect it and make sure it meets guidelines. Now, during that process, we're also going to do some title work. And you want the title work because you want to make sure that the seller has the right to sell that home. There weren't anything sketchy on it, no weird transfers, there's no fraud involved, all that kind of thing. All that's done, we send that back to underwriting. We'll get that appraisal back. Hopefully it's for an amount that works. And then it'll go back to underwriting one more time, and the underwriter might come back with some more conditions. That's just part of the process. It's expected because very rarely does it not happen. That's just part of the process. Is oftentimes there'll be additional conditions needed right before closing. We'll also verify your employment. Make sure that employment history matches what you said in the application at that point. And then finally, clear to close. Yay. That's always the exciting day when I get to tell someone to clear to close and you get to schedule that closing. And then you go to closing, meet with the seller. Depending on the area, sometimes you and the seller might meet in the same room together, get keys. In other areas, they do what's called a split closing, where the buyer goes on one side of the day and the seller goes the other day, and then you get keys later. But clear to close is always exciting because then you're about to close a loan, about to get that house. So that is a very, very high-level overview of the steps to buy a house. Now, if you check my channel below, there's a playlist with a lot more in-depth content about each step. But as always, if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. My number is 937-572-3713. I can also be reached at scarpero.com. I am licensed in Ohio and several other states. Hopefully, I'll hear from you soon.